Let's just consider this experiment where we try and force children and teenagers to sit in a classroom for 8 hours listening to lectures on topics that don't pertain to them, and then expecting them to be able to pass a standardized one size fits all test. And then, when they're not interested in these topics, declare it a disorder and try and medicate it. Let's just consider this experiment failed and move on. I see a lot of confusion surrounding what the Department of Education actually does, and especially what these special education programs and IEP programs actually do. And it's not much. Let's get one thing straight first. These IEP programs and education programs are not enhanced learning. They're not enhanced education programs for people who need it. It's actually lowering grading standards to make it easier for people on IEPs to get through school and to graduate. These programs and the Department of Education as a whole is really nothing but a giant cash cow. Point in case, Oregon, where I live, has an $11 billion budget for the Department of Education. $11 billion. And Oregon has the lowest scored schools in the entire country. Funding is not everything. And this funding does not go towards any, special education programs and enhanced learning, and to help people who need it get the proper um, tutoring and attention that they deserve. What it actually does is go towards campaigns to explain why math is racist and why it is no longer a requirement to graduate. And I know this to be true because my brother is autistic and extremely ADHD, so he's been on an IEP his entire life. He has not been getting an enhanced education. He just doesn't have to read To Kill a Mockingbird because it doesn't interest him, because he's not going to pay attention and you can't make him. And me personally, by a school's standard, I definitely have an attention deficit. If I'm not interested in something, it doesn't exist to me, and you can't force me to retain it. There were subjects that I thrived at, but when I was expected to master and take a standardized test from an instructor who clearly didn't care about me, who didn't care if I pass or fail because they're getting paid no matter what, that left me with nothing but intense testing anxiety. Like, full on, they'd hit the timer, the paper would go blurry and like start spinning. Like, it was bad. I'm a software engineer and I went through a coding boot camp because they cut through all the bullshit and they just get to what I'm there to learn, which is coding and none of the unrelated shit that they're trying to force me to learn and charge me for it. You're not going to get me to master a math equation or a math strategy simply by telling me, oh, well, it's on the homework, so you have to do it. But when I am working on a coding project and I come across a problem where I'm going to need a certain math strategy in order to accomplish what I'm trying to do, not only am I retaining it because I'm breaking it down line by line in my code, but also it pertains to me and what I am trying to accomplish. And I think that that's how all schooling should be. Here's the thing about boot camps and independent schools and independent learning as a whole. If you don't pass and you don't get into a job, they don't get paid. Every public school, every college institution, they don't care if you pass or not because they are getting paid anyway. That's what the Department of Education does, is they protect shitty teachers and shitty instructors. The Department of Education is not a friend to the students. It is nothing more than a government created solution for a government created problem.